Okay, let's start. So, my name is Jairus Obrador. I'm an applications engineer from Maximum Solutions Corporation. So I'm with my co-applications engineer, Mr. Jello Flores. You'll hear from him soon as we go by our presentation. So what we'll discuss today is the um, new features of Revit 2021. So before we start, we would like to do a quick poll on regarding your roles in your company. So there are no right or wrong answers here, so feel free to answer. So we just want to know the roles that you're engaged in your company. So we'll have an insight on who we are doing the webinar with. Yes, please vote. So we'll give you some time to vote. Okay, so can we have the results? Okay, so majority of our audience are on the architectural side of things. So a little bit of MEP, civil works, construction, and structural. So we also have project managers. All right, so I think we have a bit of diversity in our audiences. That's nice. Okay, so let me just go on the presentation. Okay, so our agenda for today will be about, of course, this webinar is about the new features, but I would like to introduce BIM to you guys, so whether you know it or not. And then we're going to go with the recap of the past new features from 2019 and 2020. So because maybe you're using the latter versions like 2017 and 2018, so at least we're going to give you an overview of what's new in 2019 and 2020. And then next, we're going to talk about the new features of Revit 2021. And lastly, we're going to go for a quiz. So if I were you, I'm going to listen very carefully on the webinar because there might be, of course, there will be things here that will appear in the quiz. So yeah, we're gonna give prizes for that. For of course the top one. Okay, quick poll. So this is about the BIM or Building Information Modeling. So are you already familiar with BIM? So it's just a yes or no question. So it's okay if you still don't know or have no idea of BIM. That's okay. So we're going to discuss it in the next slide. So the results are okay. So we have almost 70% of guys familiar already with BIM and about 30% not yet familiar with it. Okay, so that's fine, that's okay. So we're gonna discuss what BIM is in the next slide. So BIM or Building Information Modeling. So this is an intelligent model-based process wherein information is available throughout the whole life cycle of the project. So from the design phase to the construction phase and up until the operations and maintenance phase. So BIM allows us to have that information available throughout the life cycle of the project to anyone. So that means from the owners, stakeholders, designers, and etc. Okay, so of course BIM helps us reduce time and cost in our projects. And now with the era of connection, so again, we are in the era of connection, we have connected BIM. So what connected BIM stands for is the power of the cloud plus BIM. So basically, the process of BIM is now aided or now boosted with the power of the internet or cloud. So of course, cloud allows us to connect anytime, anywhere. So basically, if you're in a project, that information that you're looking for on that particular project must be on the cloud so that anybody can access it. So here's a graphic on what's happening in our connected BIM. So as you can see here, you have the architects and engineers, of course, doing the designs, and then translating that design into the construction site will be the contractors, of course. So you have the general contractors and subcontractors, and then you have the construction manager who manages the schedule. If the construction is on plan, are we being left behind the schedule? You also have the fabricators, you also have the owners, etc. So what Connected BIM does is it connects all of these people in one data repository or data silo wherein anybody can access that information regarding the project. So that you will have an integrated project delivery. So quick poll, again, quick poll. So this is about Revit. So we would just like to ask on what versions of Revit have you used, or have you not yet used Revit, or are you an AutoCAD user? So again, there are no right or wrong answers. So please feel free to answer the poll. So if you're using Revit 2016, you cannot answer. Yes, you cannot answer. Just leave it blank if that's okay. So Revit 2016 below, that's okay if you don't answer. Okay, interesting. So we have a majority of AutoCAD users in our attendees. So that's okay. So we are here today to introduce Revit, of course, with the new features. To those who have already used Revit, you might get additional information on what is with 2021. Okay, let's go on with our presentation. So what is Revit? So Revit basically is a BIM tool. So most of our clients, or most of our most of the people that we engage in recognize BIM as a software. So BIM, for your information, is not a software. So based on what I've discussed earlier, BIM is a process. Okay, so BIM is a process, and Revit is the #1 BIM tool being used for that specific process. So Revit supports integrated multidiscipline design from architecture, structure, and MEP. And then with Revit, you are able to make design changes very easily. You can generate floor plans, elevations, and section views and schedules automatically. So there are also analysis features in Revit like coordination. So you can do actually interference checking with this. You can create heating and cooling load analysis with this. You can go for visualization. Of course, you also have the work sharing capabilities and etc. So let's discuss the new features of 2021 so that you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. So here are the past new features of Revit 2019. So basically, I've highlighted some of the notable features, like number one, the tabbed views. So if you're an AutoCAD user, you're already engaged with the tabbed user interface. So basically, Revit also has the tabbed user interface as well. And then you now have levels shown in your 3D view, improved material appearances. Yeah, and there's one feature like you can now see the version of the file, the Revit version of the file you're opening. So let's say you're opening a 2015 file, it shows there that you're opening a Revit 2015 file. So yeah, you can screenshot this slide. If you have more questions regarding this, you can engage us through the chat, or you can also email us afterwards. And then next is the 2020 new features. So basically here, the best feature that has been added was the PDF import into Revit. So now you can import your PDF files to Revit 2020. And then now you can save your models as cloud models in either your Autodesk Drive or BIM 360 docs. So, so you have now the SketchUp import. You also have the path of travel. So this is a very cool feature wherein you you pinpoint the start point and end point, and the software actually draws the path of travel, the shortest path of travel that you're gonna do from the room to outside. So I think you should try this feature. This feature is very good. So also it has Dynamo 2.1, so programming, visual programming interface as well, and etc. So again, you can screenshot this, and if you have questions regarding this, please tell us in the chat. Please email us if you want to. So now here we are in the Revit 2021 features. So we have divided this into platform, architecture, structure, and MEP. So basically, platform is more on the interface side, architecture more on the, of course, in the architecture tab, structural tab, and MEP tab, and etc. So we're going to discuss that one by one. So again, you can screenshot this so you have a general idea of the new features of Revit 2021. Okay, so let's start with platform. Yeah, so from what I've discussed earlier, Revit 2020 has already the PDF import, but now Revit 2021 improved it with the PDF and image linking. So what does that mean? So linking means that you can cross-reference a particular PDF or image file into the Revit project. So that means you're not really importing the file into the Revit project, but you're just linking it. You're just cross-referencing it. So any changes with that cross-reference will be reflected into the project. Of course, you can convert that link into import if you want to. So next is the model hosting of cloud models. So from the past versions, you can only have US as your server for your BIM 360, but now for European countries, or of course, if you're working here in the Philippines for a European company, you can now actually host the models in Europe. So now they have created servers in there. Next is the project navigation for BIM 360. So if you are using the 2018 below versions, you probably have seen the homepage of Revit, which is black, but now it's completely white. So as you can see in the screen, and it has a BIM 360 navigator wherein you can navigate your account and projects within it. And of course, you can open your projects from BIM 360 in Revit 2021 as well. So next is the customized Revit workspace. Basically, after installation, Revit is gonna show a window like this, asking on what your job role is. So like what we did with the poll, the first poll. And then after that, after asking you the disciplines that you work onto, so let's say you selected structural and mechanical and electrical and plumbing. So what Revit's gonna do is that it will remove the architecture tab. It will remove the other tabs that you didn't select here, so that the user interface is very minimized and there are no other tabs that are not being used. So yeah, but again, you can customize the user interface. You can make it appear again, of course, in the options tab of the Revit program. So basically, you can customize your interface. So for schedules, row striping is now available. So it used to be just color white, but now you can create row striping, can dictate the color of the rows, of the alternating rows. So if you have a very long schedule, so very long schedule in terms of the columns, you can now do row striping so that you will not get lost when you're navigating a particular row. So hard-coded categories are added as well. So for infrastructure, so you now have bridge categories. So yeah, for this is good news for infrastructure guys. So now you can actually have a category of bridges. That means if you have a category of the infrastructure bridges, you can now schedule them. So the latest version of Dynamo is also included out of the box in Revit 2021. So Dynamo is a visual programming service, which is an add-on in Revit. So this actually helps us create geometrical concepts, helps us in automation as well. So if you want automation on your project, you can actually use this. So for AutoCAD users, the programming platform there was LISP, but here in Revit, you have Dynamo 2.5. Okay, so from the previous version, which was Revit 2020, you have Dynamo 2.1, but you can actually update the add-on so that you will also have 2.5 there. So additional Revit nodes are also Dynamo Revit nodes, sorry. So they are also added. So this is requested by the users in the community of Dynamo. So there's actually a community here, which is dynamobim.org. So if you go to that website, you can see some tutorials. So you can also engage with the community in Dynamo as well. So filters now have a checkbox. So basically you can add a filter in a particular view but you still have a choice to enable that added filter or disable it. So basically, in the past, if you add a filter on the particular view, so there's no checkbox, so that means it's automatically added. So you just have to toggle the visibility and etc. But here you can now have toggle in terms of enabling and disabling the particular filter. So now you can also rotate tags with the component. So basically, if you have a component with a tag and you rotate that particular component or change the orientation of that particular component, the tag will go along the orientation of that component. So there's an added parameter in the tags, which is the rotate with component parameter. So for family creators out there, you can now parameterize the void cuts. So basically, in the past, you have to create the geometry and the cut in a separate family and then integrate them together. But now you can create only one family with the void cuts, and then you can just enable and disable them. So lastly, for the platform part of our new features, you now have the hard-coded line styles appearing at the bottom part of the list. So appearing at the bottommost part of the list. Yeah, and then you also have the Get Autodesk Content button added at the Insert tab. So this actually allows you to get more content. So get more templates, get more libraries, get more standards, and etc. So I advise you to check that out. And we also have sun and shadow refinements. So basically, this is also an added feature in the real-time realistic views, which we will discuss here in the architecture part. Okay. So for the architecture section of our new features, so the best added feature for architecture is generative design, in my opinion. Okay, so generative design is actually an add-on. So this used to be called Refinery, but now it is out of the box within Revit if you purchase an AEZ collection. Okay. So basically, what it does it has studies within it, like the workspace layout study, the 3-box massing study, and the maximize window views study. So basically, it generates for example, in this workspace layout, it generates the positioning of the desks or of the family that you have selected within the room space. So later on, I'm gonna show you this feature in our technical demonstration. And the second to the best new feature for Archi is the real-time realistic views. So for the Revit users out there, I know that you have tried to switch the view style of our project into realistic, and you have experienced so much lag in navigation. So when you're rotating and panning the model, so now it has improved. Revit has a very good enhancement in terms of navigation of realistic views. So later on, I'm going to show that to you as well. So slanted walls. So this is a very much requested feature for architects. So in the past, for you to create slanted walls, you have to create massing. So now you just have to edit the cross-section parameter from vertical to slanted, and then indicate the angle, and now you have a slanted wall. So there is also added interoperability between Inventor and Revit. So as you can see, in Inventor, you can actually link your Revit files so that you can add on details or add on detailing for your families. And then now we're now gonna go to structure or structural features. So I will pass the floor to Mr. Jello Flores. So I'm gonna um, stop my share so he can share his screen. Jello, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you, Sir James, for your introduction. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Jello Flores. So, I'm going to discuss to you the structural part of the Revit 2021 updates. So, first, the first update is the Create New Standard 3D River Shapes. So, you can define such 3D river shapes by rotating the hooks at the ends of the bars and directly inputting the hook lengths for each rebar. As you can see, this is a very familiar assembly. So we call this as the standy assembly. We use this most of the time in our slabs, the floors, for the supports in our reinforcement rebars. So you can rotate those hook lengths in such degree values that you want. So next is the couplers for arc-shaped rebar. So you can now use rebar couplers to connect tangent arc-shaped bars in circular concrete structures such as curve walls, concrete tanks, tunnels, and etc. So the end treatments without couplers for rebars has also improved. So you can add an edge treatment to the end of any rebar without the need for a rebar coupler. So if you're going to select one of your rebars, okay, you can see in the properties that an end treatment at start at end in your rebar will be added. So there's a threaded or welded option in those rebars. So 3D solid fabric sheets visualization also added in the updates. So you can view fabric sheets and custom fabric sheets in 3D views such as solid or unobscured. So as you selected those fabric sheets that you created, so in your view visibility states, there's an option in 3D view that you can on and off the view unobscured and view as solid. So next, the override hook length by instance. So you can easily specify the hook length for each rebar in the project. So without the need to duplicate the hook type and change the length for that type. So this option is added in your properties as you select your one of your rebars. So as you can see, there is an gray scale or gray value here in the dimension. So you can edit it unless you on and off this override hook length option. Okay. So next is the integrated precast automation. So this is, for me, this is the best feature as of now in the Revit 2021 updates for the structure. Because the structural precast extension formerly offered for Revit is now integrated into Revit 2021. So we have dedicated precast ribbon tab located next to the steel tab. So here it is. So these precast features are included in the Revit installation, so simplifying their deployment and making them available in all language supported by Revit. So before this is an add-on, but now Revit adopt this precast tab or precast command so that you can easily manipulate your drawings in your structure or structural projects. So next, integrated steel connection automation nodes in Dynamo for Revit. So the Dynamo nodes dedicated to placing steel connections in Revit are provided with the Revit installation as part of Dynamo for Revit. So there's a lot of new features for your steel connections in Dynamo for Revit. So next is the integrated structure analysis results exploration. So the structural results manager and results exploration tools are now integrated into the Revit 2021. So these tools enable structural engineers to explore and document analysis results to gain insight into structure's behavior. So if you go in your Analyze tab in your Revit 2021, besides on the Robot Structural Analysis command, there's a Results Manager and Results Explorer command added in those structural analysis panel. So later on, we're going to see how these commands work. So next is the still object editing enhancement. So still detailing capabilities have been extended to allow more flexibility when modifying still elements or connections. So simply select the edit the one of your selected stills, and you can edit it as you please whenever you want. So next is the create stiffeners on beams and columns. So here, there's a dedicated tool for creating stiffeners is now available in structural connection settings. So once you loaded it to your project, it is available from the type selector. So before, we just manually created one of our stiffeners from the model in place command. So now it is integrated with the structural connection settings. So as you select this stiffener, you can use it directly in one of your beams and columns in your project. So next is the insert steel elements in vertical views. So Revit users were previously limited to inserting steel components in 3D views and 2D horizontal views, such as levels and floor plans. But this limitation has been removed. So Revit users may now place steel components in 2D vertical views, such as elevation views, vertical views, something like that, vertical section views, something like that. And the last update in the Revit structure is the dimension snapping to steel plates. So it is now possible to snap to its midpoint and create dimensions indicating the distance from the plate edge to its center. So both vertically and horizontally. Okay, so the next update will be the MEP or mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So Sir Jerus will discuss it to you. So I'm gonna pass the floor to Sir Jerus. So Sir Jerus. So I'm gonna stop my sharing.
Thank you, Jello, for sharing the new features for the structural part of Revit 2021. So I'm gonna discuss. So I'm still in the structure part. I'm sorry. So let's jump now to the MEP part. So for the MEP features, so there are a lot of enhancements involving the electrical circuits. So first is the electrical circuit naming. So basically, in the past versions of Revit, you can only name your circuits according to the panel board name. So if your panel board name is like LP-1, so that's going to be only the suffix or prefix of your circuits. So now you can actually add new ways to name your circuits, such as by project, by phase level, phase label, sorry, by ways in phase, and etc. So yeah, you can basically explore this feature along with the single phase panel boards. So now you can add a single phase panel board. So that's line to neutral. So you can disable the line to line voltage and add just the line to ground voltage. And then with this, we will also have a panel schedule for this particular single phase panel board. So for switchboard circuit quantities, the number of columns, or I mean the number of rows in the past versions signifies the number of connected poles, but now it has been edited into max number of circuits for the switchboards. And then you also have the switch phases feature for the switchboard circuit phase selection. So let's say you want this particular circuit into another phase. So basically you can click this and then the circuit will now have a different phase. And of course, the panel schedules are now organized very properly into the sheets. So in the past versions, they do not appear under the sheets section of your project browser, and they cannot also be searched. So now it can be searched in the project browser. And yeah, you can now view them in the sheets browser as well. So for work sharing, let's say that you want to share a particular element. So a single element, as that you can see in the illustration. So basically, if you share this piece of ductwork, you're also sharing the other pieces of ductwork around it. So now Revit has made some adjustments so that the sharing will only be limited to the particular element that you share. So it's not going to include the other pieces of ductwork. So for PNID modelers out there, so this is not a very much used feature of Revit, but for the PNID modelers, this is actually cloud-based. You can now save your models within the BIM 360 Docs platform. So the past storage of this was BIM 360 Team, but again, BIM 360 Team is being phased out, and everything is now being transferred to the new platform, which is a BIM 360 Docs. And then there are new pipe flow units. So we have added cubic feet per hour, cubic feet per minute, and liters per hour. So in the past versions, it doesn't have these units. So as well. Then for the fabrication extensions, it's now very integrated within Revit 2021. For the past versions, it's also integrated, but there are now various of ways on how you can import and export the fabrication parts to CAD/MEP and CAMDUP. So lastly, for MEP, this is the greatest addition to the discipline. So now Autodesk has added the MEP systems analysis. So this allows you to create an insight of your building. So if you run this analysis, you're going to be able to see your annual energy consumption, the heating and cooling load peaks per spaces that you have created, and etc. So I'm going to show you this feature as well. So we're going to jump to our technical demonstration. So I'm going to pass the floor again to Jello so that he can show you some technical demonstration on the structural features. So Jello, please go ahead.
Thank you, Sir Jello. So, okay. So now I'll show you some of updates here in Revit Structure 2021. So the first update that I told you is the about the hook rotation of the rebars. So as you can see, as I've selected one of these rebars right here, in my properties tab, there is a value of a hook rotation end, 270 degrees and start at 90 degrees. So I can put any value that I want here in my properties tab, then apply it in my rebar. And also, there is an option, since this is the rebar, there's an option for the override hook lengths. So if I unselect this one, so you can see the dimension B and dimension F is not editable. So as you select this or this one, as I change this, so you can see in my drawing, the hook lengths are automatically adjusted. And also, you can place a rebar coupler in a curve walls. So let's say that this is your curve walls. Then you want to place some of your rebar coupler. So let's say you want to place this rebar coupler and something like that. You can easily put the rebar coupler since the value or since the dimension of these rebars is the same. And also the rebar coupler that you input is the same, has the same dimension or has the same radius. Okay. And also you can select one of your fabric sheets and see in your view visibility states that there's an option for the 3D view for the view and obscured and view as solid. So as you select these two options and change the view into realistic view, you can see these fabric sheets, you can easily see these fabric sheets in your floors or in your project. So next one is the Results Manager and Results Explorer. So this model has been calculated already in robot structure analysis, and I send it here back here in Revit Structure for the Results Explorer. So since this is already calculated, as I select this option, Results Explorer, in my structure analysis panel, there's a lot of options in your results that you can select. So let's just say you want to see the deformation of this structure. So as I select this one, you can see the deformation of your slabs right here is you can already see those deformations. So there's a lot of options here in your results, so you can see this in your Revit structure or in your drawings is as you as you selected those results. And lastly, one of my favorite updates is the Precast tab. So now you can see the Precast tab in your Revit 2021. So I prepared some of these structural walls and structural floors. These should be structural so that you can apply these Precast commands right here. So let's just say you want to put a Precast here in your wall and floors. So let's just say I want to select these two. Then there's three types of slabs, so you can select one of those. So let's just say I want to select this solid slab right here. And that's it. The precast is already updated. So if you want to change the direction of this precast, so you can just easily change the direction in your you can easily change those direction in your span direction. Let's just say you want to change the span direction in your vertical view. Okay, let's just say, and you want it to split again. Okay. Then you can see that those directions already changed. And let's just say that this wall, you want to put some reinforcement in your structural walls. There's already doors and windows in it. So let's just say first thing, you're gonna split it. Then after you split it, there's a reinforcement command right here. So you can select those and apply these to your walls. So we have different types of reinforcement walls, and also you can edit those reinforcement walls right here. So you can change if you want to your reinforcement type to be a steel bar, mesh, truss, or whatsoever, and the dimension or the radius of your rebar types. Okay, you can choose one of those. Then let's just say we want to use this and apply it into our walls. Just select OK, and that's it. There's already a precast or reinforcement in your Revit walls, precast walls. Then let's just say you want to create some of your shop drawings here in your precast structures. So there's a configuration option right here that you can select or configure those settings. Since this is a solid wall, okay, we can change the, since this is a solid wall, we can change the drawing template. So either A3 or you can put some of the your template, okay. Then also you can change the dimensions, the reference, the dimension type, and also if it you want to be center of gravity, solid annotation, solid wall, something like that. So let's say let's stick to the default settings. And we want to create shop drawings for this wall right here. And after a few moments, Revit will automatically give you the schedule and the sheets for your drawing. So here is the schedule for those rebars. As you can see, there's already inputted in your schedules, and you can easily edit those here in your available fields. And here, I think I should use the A4 size for the paper. So you can easily modify this schedule right here, but it is already different parts of your precast structure. Then you can easily manipulate those sheets as you please. So that will be all for the structural updates. So I'll give the floor to Sir Jealous for the other updates like architectural and MEP updates. So Sir Jealous.
Yes, thank you, Jello. Let me just share my screen once again. Okay, so hi again, guys. So now I'm gonna do a technical demonstration on the new features for architecture and MEP as well. So for the architecture side, I'm gonna show you two cool features, the two best cool features in the Revit 2021 release. So basically this, I'm showing you a sample project within Revit. So this is actually in shaded view, right? So as you can see, I'm navigating through this. But now, if you switch to a realistic view, so I've already prepared a realistic view here. So as you can see, navigation is much more smoother than it was before in the previous releases of Revit. So just to prove to you that I'm in the realistic setting. And I also integrated some shadows, but still navigation is very smooth. Zooming in, zooming out, and panning out. So in the previous releases, if you zoom in, zoom out, and then pan, and then orbit, it's gonna lag so much. Okay, so you can see it's in realistic mode because the tree is actually appearing here. So in the shaded mode, it's just like that, and because it's not yet rendered. But here you have a mini rendering happening here. And then, yeah, that's it. So basically, I advise you to use this so that you can actually immediately show realistic views to your clients. And yeah, navigation is very smooth in the new release. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is the generative design. So this is the best, so far, the best feature, the best added feature in the architecture discipline of Revit. Okay, so before that, I'm just going to show you that slanted walls, the slanted walls feature. So basically, you just have to select the wall now and then modify the cross section, then add some angles. So let's say we want it to have a forward angle of 10 degrees. So basically that's that. So how about the door? So the door also, the door and the windows also have an added parameter, which is the orientation. So basically you can also slant them if you want. So yeah, it will go along with the particular slanted wall. But anyway, let's move to the feature at question. So now you have an added generative design commands in your Manage tab. And if we click on Create Study right there, so it's going to show us different study types. So I actually updated my Revit and they have added three new studies. So the native studies out of the box were workspace layout, tree box massing, and maximize window views. So let's say that I want to maximize the window views of this table inside this particular room. Okay, so let's just open first the floor plan so that we have an overview of what's in there. So basically you have columns, you have cabinets and whatsoever. So you want to put this or place this particular table inside wherein it has a maximized window view outside. Okay, so basically what we will do here is we're gonna click on the study that we want, which is the maximize window views, and then we're gonna choose the families involved. So first, as you can see, it prompts us to select an element in question. So that, of course, we will choose this particular table. And then as you can see, it gets the element ID of that particular table. And then next is select multiple window or curtain elements. So what I'll do is, of course, I'll select the windows. So you can also do the selection in the 3D view. So let's say they want us to select the room. Of course, we will select the room element. And then lastly, we can also select the obstructions. So of course, these will be the obstructions of the particular element, which is our table, to the outside view. And then I'll click on finish here. So I can actually tweak some variables and some goals and constraints, but I'll leave them as is. And then all I have to do is to click on generate. So I actually have run this study before. Okay. And it will appear, the study will appear here in the Explore Outcomes window. So actually this study is the Maximize Window Views 04. So as you can see, it has 10 results on which it can position the particular the table with the maximized window views. So as you can see, it has different results. And of course, you can actually filter the results here in the columns. So let's say that you want the viewpoint Y position to be 0.6. So it's going to filter out the results. So you want to have the viewpoint position near 0.5. So you can actually create a filter right there. And then you want the view outside score, of course, to be high. And then this allows us to filter the results into one result. So after, let's say I've filtered my result, I can now create the Revit elements so that it will translate the changes or the results into my Revit model. And as you can see, it has now been positioned in the middle of the room where it has the filters that I set. And so it will have the maximized window view. So that's actually a very cool feature. So yeah, I can show another one, which is the workspace layout. So basically, the workspace layout allows us to create a workspace layout in the manner of average distance to exits, the views to outside scores, etc. So basically, you can also do the same. You can filter out certain certain parameters such as the desk rotation. So let's say that you want the tables to be oriented in a 45-degree manner. And then now next is how much space do you want with the rows. So you can actually create other filters such as the average distance to exits. Of course, you want the average distance to the exits much lower, and views outside, you can also maximize them. So, but if you want them to focus on work, so you have um, less views to the outside. And then lastly, the number of the desks. So let's say that I'm gonna create this particular layout. So if I click on create Revit elements, so again, it will generate this desk going into the space. So it's going to lay out the desks in the manner that we chose in the Explore Outcomes window. So as you can see, it has laid out the desks in the particular room. So actually, desks are not yet oriented properly. So I can just do some window selections and yeah, do some rotations as well. So how cool is that? That's a very cool feature added in the Revit 2021. Okay, the next feature that I'm going to show you. So lastly is the system analysis. So this is for the MEP guys. So basically, you can now create analytical spaces for your system analysis report. And then after creating such spaces, so these spaces are in the manner of two parts. So I have decided as an engineer to have two um, air handling units with each of them having chilled water loops. So, for example, AHU-1 will have this region or will have this set of spaces, and air handling unit 2 gets the other side. So basically, we can run the analysis once all the parameters are set here in the system analysis command. So I have already run the analysis so that I can show this to you. So it basically shows us the energy use annually within the particular building. So there's also a table indicating on where the electricity or where the energy will be used, as you can see. And also you have a monthly overview of the consumption. So as you can see, I have set this building to be in the valley in Santa Rosa. So as you can see, the May month has a very large consumption because it's very hot this particular days in May. So you're using much more electricity. And then this is a very detailed report. But one of the most anticipated results here will be the component load summary. So let's say that for the particular VAV1-3 space, it computes the total cooling peak load. So in this case, it's 9,028 watts or 9 kilowatts for this particular zone. So again, I have set up the zones here. So it's actually under AHU-1. So this particular space has this particular load. Okay? So for my side, that will be it. So I think we can go to can you see the slide? Wait. share for a while, for a while. Yes, so we're done with our technical demonstration. So here are some helpful links. So you can actually screenshot this. So are you seeing the screen? So for a while, for a while. There we go. So these are some helpful links that you can explore in Autodesk. So we have the knowledge network, so some product documentation, some webinars that you can use. So you can screenshot this. So we can also, if you request, we can also send this links onto you. So we can also send the slides if you want. Okay, so I think we should go to Q&A first, right, Ma'am Che?
Yeah. For all your questions, you can type in it at the Q&A tab portion before we actually proceed in the quiz part. So earlier,
yeah, we have a question earlier. Yeah, so let's see that question. Where is that question? Oh, here. Oh. Okay, there was a question earlier regarding the versioning of the files. Okay, so let me just clarify. So if you have a Revit 2021 version, the only files that you can produce are Revit 2021 files, okay? So the same goes for the other version. So if I'm using a Revit 2019 version, I'm gonna produce a 2019 file, right? Okay, so can you save into lower versions? So if I'm using a Revit 2021, I'm gonna only be able to save files as a Revit 2021 file. So I cannot save it as a 2020 file. I cannot save it as a 2019 file. So another question was if you can open the lower versions in the current 2021 version. Yes, you can open the version, the lower file versions. But what's going to happen is it's going to be upgraded into a 2021 file version. So once it is upgraded, it cannot go back to the native version. So which means that it cannot, if you have a 2021 file, it cannot be opened by a lower version of Revit. So if I have a 2021 file, it cannot be opened in Revit 2017, cannot be opened in Revit 2019. Okay, so I hope that answers the question a while ago. So I just cannot see the chat that we had. Anyway, so we have a question from our team Manalang at up.edu.ph. Yes. So yeah, let's answer it live. So basically the hardware requirements. So good question. This is a very frequently asked question in the Revit software. So basically, we can send you the hardware requirements, but to give you an overview, it's still very dependent on the clock speed, and the number of cores depends on the usage type. So if you're more on a rendering individual, so if you're using Revit for rendering and you like realistic views, so multi-core processor will be needed. But if you're using it just for the schematics, single core processing power is very good already. So we recommend i7 8th gen UB. So that's very good already. For the graphics card, there is a set of graphics card that are set of graphics card that are certified and recommended by Autodesk themselves. So we can also send you that. For the RAM, it very depends on your usage. So if you're using it for a very large project, so a very large RAM will also be needed. So let's say your project is 100 MB. So you need at least 16 gigs of RAM at least. Well, not at least, but it's the recommended size for that particular size. Yeah, so those are the three important things: processor, graphics card, and the RAM. Okay, so that's what you'll take in account when you're buying a computer for Revit 2021. So other questions? I think we can still answer one more question, right, Ma'am Che?
Yes. Any more questions from our attendees? If you may opt in to have your questions maybe on the latter part of the day or some in the coming days, you may just email us at those those questions.
Yeah, so basically, you can email us the questions that you have. Let's say you're a bit shy to ask them now. So yeah, you can email me or email Jello. You can also email Ma'am Che, but I think you're gonna email her because of the prizes if you win in the quiz. So it depends. So if for the technical questions, it's me or Jello. You can ask. So for the prizes, please do contact Ma'am Che. So here is her email and her Skype ID. So you can actually screenshot this, take note of this so that you can claim your prize. And again, let me just flash on the helpful links. So the Autodesk Knowledge Network, some webinars that you can attend to, some support, customer support if you need it, and so on and so forth. So you can also screenshot this. So screenshot this and this for the contacts. And that's it. Thank you for attending. So Ma'am Che, closing remarks.
I'll be emailing everyone, all the attendees, for the helpful links that you could go to, like the Knowledge Network and the Autodesk Forum. And then, can they get a copy of your presentation? Would you allow?
Yeah, of course, no problem with that. So
Okay,
I can distribute the PowerPoint presentation in PDF format if they want it. So if they request it, there's no problem with that.
Okay, I'll just attach it on my email together with the links and other details of this webinar. So again, in behalf of Maximum Solutions, we are very much thankful for you guys joining us this afternoon. So rest assured that there are upcoming webinars that you could attend to. So just wait for my email regarding the helpful links and other details. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for attending.